Okay, so here's the thing we're not considering.
Okay.
We're always like, Selena can't be the best assassin. What if all the other assassins legitimately suck? Chapter 9. Selena took a step closer to the balls. A bucket for relieving herself, a bucket of water, the crumbs of her last meal.
Was there an M-dash there?
No.
So was it a bucket of water? Oh, so bucket for relieving herself, comma, a bucket of water?
Comma.
Okay.
A bucket, the crumbs of her last meal, and moldy hay that piled on the rough pallet. That was all Cowtane had been given.
No clothes? No, wait, it said in the other chapter that she had clothes.
All she deserves. Come to laugh. Come to laugh, Cowtane said. Her voice, which had once been rich and cultured, was little more than a hoarse whisper. It was freezing down here, M-dash. It was a wonder Cowtane hadn't fallen ill already. I have some questions for you, Selena said, keeping her words soft. Though the guards hadn't challenged her right to enter the dungeons, she didn't want them eavesdropping. I'm busy today, Cowtane smiled, leaning her head against the stone wall. Come back tomorrow. She looked so much younger, with her ebony hair unbound. She couldn't be much older than Selena herself. Selena dropped into a crouch, one hand braced against the bars for balance. The metal was bitingly cold. What do you know about Roland Havillard? Havillard. What do you know about Roland Havillard? Cowtane looked upward to the stone ceiling. He's visiting. He's been appointed to the King's Council. Cowtane's night dark eyes met Selena's.
Night dark eyes? So the last chapter,
Black.
in the last couple paragraphs, literally said she had black eyes. Now they're repeating again in the first couple paragraphs.
She loves repeating. There was a hint of madness, though, M-dash, but also weariness and exhaustion. Why ask me about him? Because I want to know if he can be trusted. Cowtane wheezed a laugh. None of us can be trusted, especially not Roland. The things I've heard about him are enough to turn even your stomach, I bet. Like what? Cowtane smirked. Get me out of this cell and I might tell you. Selena returned the smirk. How about I walk inside that cell and find another way to get you to talk?
Again, casually threatening violence, apparently fine.
Don't, she whispered, shifting enough that Selena could see the bruises circling her wrists. They looked unnervingly like handprints. Cowtane...
I don't like that. Do I think the author is going to handle this in a way that I like? No.
Cowtane tucked her arms into the folds of her skirts. The Night Watch looks the other way when Parrington visits. Selena bit the inside of her lip. I'm sorry, she said, and meant it. And she would mention it to K.R. when she saw him next.
Okay,
Make sure he had a word with the Night Watch.
So, of course, the implication would be sexual assault, right?
Yes.
Which doesn't make sense with how Parrington was using her in the first book.
It didn't seem like he was
interested.
interesting.
Have a sexual interest in her.
And it just makes him more blatantly evil. So it's just like the evil guy's just so evil. And I personally am not a fan of sexual assault being used to like punish a character who's done something bad.
Yeah.
And it's not saying like, oh, this is like narratively Cowtane's being punished with sexual assault. Implied. Not into it. Not into it.
Not a vibe. Not approved by us. Let us continue.
I'm trying to find where I am.
Oh.
Caltaine rested her cheek on her knee. He's ruined everything, and I don't even know why. Why not just send me home instead? Her voice had taken on a faraway quality that Selena recognized too well from her time in Indoville. Once the memories and the pain and the fear took over, there could be no chance of talking to her. She asked quietly, "You were close to Pellington. Did you ever overhear anything about his plans?" A dangerous question, but if anyone might tell her, it would be Caltaine.
Caltaine literally just turned you down.
But the girl was staring at nothing and didn't reply. Selena stood. "Good luck." Caltaine just shivered, tucking her hands under her arms. She should let Caltaine freeze to death for what she tried to do to her. She should walk out of the dungeons smiling, because for once the right person was locked away.
But she's such a moral person. Did you feel so bad about murder? And also, look at this. She feels so bad about this person's situation because she's such a good character because she is the protagonist.
God forbid you'll be wicked.
No, the good ones have to be good. The bad ones have to be bad. That is acceptable in children's books. Would love to be explored more in young adult fantasy and really, really poor in older fantasy.
Older fantasy.
Adult fantasy. Because this isn't YA,
I think it's YA.
You think it's YA?
It might be, yeah. I think that's what it was advertised. But YA...
I'm not sure that's the audience that's into it,
YA was also more used as a marketing term than like an actual phrase to be like, you know, this is for like young adults.
Okay.
And, I mean, we say young adult, I think...
When I say YA,
you think of a teenager.
Like 14-year-old.
That's also because our parents didn't like calling us teenagers. So, like, you're a young adult. You're an adolescent.
True.
We can also interpret YA as in 19 or 20 because that's an adult who is younger.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Anyways, but I watched a video talking about, like, romantasy and stuff. How basically saying how romantasy
my least favorite fantasy.
Is a new marketing term that's kind of replaced YA because they have a lot of things similar. They focus more on romance. And they have, like, less heavier world building in general. And blah, 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 all this stuff. Anyways, so the point is, it being YA, I don't think necessarily means it's directed to, like, 14-year-olds. So.
Well, listen here, folks. When I call something YA, I'm thinking, like, 14-year-old target range. 14, 16-year-old target range. Anyway.
There you have it. Anyways, yeah, I'm just not a fan of the narrative treating a villain getting what they deserve by being sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
They encouraged the crows to...
I think you skipped something.
Let's see. For once, the right person was locked away.
Oh, okay.
They encouraged the crows to fly past here, Caltaine murmured, more to herself than Selena.
Dramatic.
And my headaches were worse every day, worse and worse, and full of those flapping wings. Selena kept her face blank. She couldn't hear anything, M-dash, no cars, and certainly no flapping wings. Even if there were crows, the dungeon was so far underground that there was no way of hearing them. What do you mean? But Caltaine had already called in on herself again, conserving as much warmth as she could. Selena didn't want to think about how frigid the cell must be at night.
Okay, so it is totally a possibility that Duke Parrington is coming down to do stuff with his ring and, like, try stuff with her, and there's not actually any sexual assault going on.
That's true.
But it's definitely implied that that's what she thinks it is at this point.
Yes. And with the handprints, with...
the guards looking away, yeah. That's what it's trying to imply. It's possible that they're going to be like, but it was actually something else.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they do, but that doesn't change the implication that they're making right now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? Oh no, Caltaine had already called up. She knew what it felt like to call up. She knew what it felt like to call up like that. Desperate for any corner of warmth, wondering whether you'd wake up the next morning, or if the cold would claim you before then.
Not that cold in the dungeon? Dang.
It's frigid. Not giving herself time to reconsider, Selena unfastened her black cloak. She threw it through the bars, aiming carefully to avoid the long-dried vomit that was caked onto the stones. She'd also heard about the girl's opium addiction, M-. Being locked away without a fix had to have driven her close to insanity, if she wasn't mad to begin with.
Okay, they have the term opium. I need to use these for my, triangulating time frame for calculations. Where's a pen?
You can use that.
How is it always so hard to find pins in your room? This is not a pen.
You can get a pen from my bag.
Can I use this pencil, or is it a fancy pencil?
No, you can use that pencil.
Okay. All right, keep going. I just need to make a note of this. Opium.
Caltaine stared at the cloak that landed in her lap, and Selena pivoted to return to the narrow, icy corridor and up to the warmer levels above. Sometimes, Caltaine said softly, and Selena paused. Sometimes I think they brought me here, not to marry Parrington, but for another purpose. They want to use me. Use you for what? They never say. When they come down here, they never tell me what they want. I don't even remember. It's all just fragments. Shards of a broken meal, each gleaming with its own individual image. She was mad. Selena clamped down on the urge to make a cutting remark. The memory of Caltaine's bruises staying her tongue. Thank you for your help. Caltaine wrapped Selena's cloak around herself. Something is coming, she whispered, and I am to greet it. I thought you said they didn't tell you anything.
Well, she's crazy. Remember,
yeah,
she's also
crazy.
now crazy.
Selena loosed the breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. A fanfiction-ass line.
Fanfiction-ass.
This conversation was pointless. Goodbye, Caltaine. The girl only laughed softly, and the sound followed Selena long after she left the freezing dungeons behind.
Dang, maybe she's got Alice in Wonderland syndrome.
Section break. Those bastards, Nehemia spat, clenching her teacup so hard Selena thought the princess would shatter it. They sat together in her bed. A large breakfast tray spread between them. Fleetfoot watched their every bite, ready to devour any stray crumbs.
See, so well trained, don't try and steal food.
How could the gods just turn their backs like that? How can they keep her in such conditions? Caltaine is a member of the court, M-, and if they treat her like that, then I can't begin to imagine how they treat criminals from other classes. I think you can actually
know how they treat criminals from other classes. I do believe there isn't over here.
Nehemia paused, glancing apologetically at Selena. Selena shrugged and shook her head. After seeing Caltaine, she'd gone out to stalk Archer, but a snowstorm had struck so fierce that visibility was nearly impossible. After an hour of trying to track him through the snow-swept city, she'd given up and come back to the castle. The storm had continued all night, leaving a blanket of snow too deep for Selena to take her usual morning run with Chaos. So she'd invited Nehemia to join her for breakfast in bed, and the princess...
She let snow stop her from getting her gains?
M-, who was now thoroughly sick of snow, M dash, was more than happy to dash to Selena's rooms and hop under the warm covers. I'm just saying. Nehemia set down her tea. You'll have to tell Captain Westfall about how she's being treated. Selena finished her scone and leaned back in her fluffed up pillows. I already did. He dealt with it. And we didn't get to see that on screen? On the page?
You'll get to hear it, I'm sure, rehashed at some point.
It will be rehashed. No need to mention that after K.R. had returned to his bedroom, where Selena had been reading, his tunic was rumpled, his knuckles were raw, and there was a deadly sort of gleam in his chestnut eyes that told Selena the dungeon guard was going to have some serious changes. M dash. And new members.
There, you got it rehashed right there. You didn't even have to wait.
Literally.
Also,
doesn't seem very
again,
professional.
Violence is contextual. Which, granted, that's how it's portrayed in a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's not just in this book, but like I'm already irritated about other things, so I'm seeing more things that I don't like. There's just a lot of things I don't like.
Oh yeah. Oh, I went to the wrong page.
No.
I was like, they're really rehashing this. They're talking about what Caltaine said again. You know, Nehemia mused, using her foot to gently shove Fleetfoot away from the dog. Using her foot to gently shove Fleetfoot away as the dog tried to snatch some food off the tray.
Okay, so she's not so... She's a little more dog. Okay.
And remember, she's only a couple months old.
Oh, you're right, because it's only been...
2 months since the end of last book. 6 months in total.
Mm-hmm. And the dog was born around the beginning of the last book?
No, because it's totally later on in the book that they get her. And it was after the mother gave birth.
Yeah, but it was before, like, halfway point.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah.
I totally thought it was after halfway.
Because we see the puppies when they're, like, just born, right? And then there's, like, a pretty big time jump.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Anyways, but still a puppy then. Like, 6 months is still a puppy for a dog, right?
Yeah. Especially for such a big dog. And for a golden retriever.
The courts weren't always like this. There was a time when people valued honor and loyalty, M dash, when serving a ruler wasn't about obedience and fear. She shook her head.
I'm pretty sure it's always about obedience.
She shook her head, her gold-tip braids tinkling. In the early morning sun, her hazelnut skin was smooth and lovely. I'm pretty sure... Well,
You're pretty sure what?
I don't want to get into it.
What do you don't want to get into? We're having reactions.
Well, I thought they described her skin as being like milk chocolate before, which I guess is probably pretty close to hazelnut. Or like milk coffee, I don't know. Whatever.
Oh, okay.
Where am I? I'm just trying to find it. In the early morning, her hazelnut skin was smooth and lovely. Honestly, it was a tad unfair that Nehemia naturally looked so beautiful. M dash, especially at the crack of dawn. Nehemia, listen, I can't read this and be like, yeah, Selena's totally straight. She's got some gold kisso in her. I'm just saying. Okay. Nehemia went on. I think such honor faded from Otterland generations ago. But before Terrasin fell, its royal court was the one that set the example. My father...
Is Terrasin the fairy realm?
I think Terrasin is the film Selena is from.
Oh.
I don't really know, though. My father used to tell me of Terrasin's court, M dash, of the warriors and lords who served King Orlan in his inner circle. Maybe they were the fairy court. of the unrivaled power and bravery and loyalty of his court. That was why the king of Otterland...
Loyalty, also known as
obedience. That was why the king of Otterland targeted Taliesin first, before it was the strongest. Because it was the strongest, and because if Taliesin had been given a chance to raise an army against him, Otterland would have been annihilated. My father still says that if Taliesin were to rise again, it might stand a chance. It would be a genuine threat to Otterland. Selena looked towards the hearth. I know, she managed to get out. Nehemia turned to look at her. Do you think another court like that could ever rise again? Not just in Taliesin, but elsewhere? I've heard the court of Wendelin still follows the old ways, but they'll cross the ocean and do us no good. They looked in the other direction while the king enslaved all lands, and they still refuse all calls for aid. Selena forced herself to snort, to wave her hand in dismissal. This is an awfully heavy discussion for breakfast. She filled her mouth with toast. When she dared to glance at the princess, Nehemia's expression remained contemplative. Any news about the king? Nehemia clicked her tongue. Only that he's added that little grub Roland to his council.
That little grub.
Little grub. And Roland seems to have been given the task of handling me. Apparently, I'm too pushy with...
So this is the first we're hearing of that, okay.
Apparently, I've been too pushy with Minister Mullison. The
I think you mean Minister Farazan.
The councilman responsible for dealing with Calculla's labor camp. Roland is supposed to placate me. I can't tell who I feel worse for, you or Roland. Nehemia jabbed her in the side, and Selena chuckled, batting her hand away. Fleetfoot used their temporary distraction to swipe a piece of bacon right off the platter, and Selena squawked, "You brazen thief!" But Fleetfoot leapt off the bed, scuttled to the hearth, and stared right at Selena while she gobbled down the rest of the bacon. Nehemia laughed, and Selena found herself joining in before she tossed Fleetfoot another piece of bacon. "Let's just stay in bed all day," Selena said, throwing herself back on the pillows and nestling into the blankets. "I certainly wish I could," Nehemia said, sighing loudly. "Alas, I have things to do." And so did she, Selena realized, like preparing for her dinner that evening with Archer. End chapter.
Nice. My main takeaways from this chapter, I'm concerned about Maas's ability to handle sexual assault topics in a way that I
will respect.
Even if it turns out that there was no sexual assault, that is the implication of it. Yeah, that's my main takeaway. I'm worried about how that will be handled.
Yeah. Man, I was reading, so I wasn't thinking that much, if I'm being honest. I don't like Maas's writing, and I don't enjoy her story, so...
There you have it.
That's not news to anyone, though.
There's our takeaways.
Okay, toodly doodly.